Hey everybody, welcome back. So we're talking about the Expanse Osiris Reborn again because I've actually got to play the game since I pre-ordered the Miller's Pack. So I got access to the beta, and these are my impressions of it. And I gotta tell you, if the rest of the game is shaping up like how this beta was, it has massive potential to be incredible. It really does. So here's some of the dialogue.
All the while, the UN and Mars issue no official statements. As if they were blindsided by all of this.
We're not sure what happened there exactly, but the quarantine is definitely just a cover.
Is that why you're alone? Without Vic and the others?
Yes, no one else survived.
They blew up the Piranha when it was leaving. Whoever destroyed the station didn't want witnesses.
We didn't know these guys like you did, Zafar. Still, we're so sorry.
Such.
So yeah, I mean I'd say the audio with the cutscenes is really darn good. I love voice actors sound really good. You know, I'm sure maybe there's probably some names that I'll recognize probably that are in the full game. Time will tell, but you kind of get what I'm saying though, right? I've generally have no issues. So I've done more than one run. So I wanted to play multiple runs so I could kind of know what I'm getting into with the game. So kind of test the mechanics, kind of get a general feel for it. So my first run is, I believe, the hacker Earthly build. So it's interesting because you actually play as both Earthly and Belter, excuse me, in this game. But each was a catch because it's interesting that the Belter characters for in this beta are female, while the Earthly characters are male. So I played I played a Belter soldier and then a Earthly, Earthly hacker. So I got a good feel for the special abilities of both characters, so I could get a general feel for what the gameplay is going to be. So this is from the Earthly hacker build. So interesting that your ally essentially is called Jay, which I believe is understood to be your twin, from what I understood from just watching the cutscenes and all that. From what I understood from it, so your teammate actually has a special ability. Once activated, it will cause like massive destruction in the environment. So which you can perfectly be used for ambushes, which is pretty darn cool. Take out a bunch of enemies at once that are trying to ambush you. I really like that. That's a cool ability. So it can be definitely be useful when there's a group of enemies trying to ambush. Boy, I said ambush a lot, but anyways, you get what I'm saying though, right? So it's very cool. I like it. Like if you press both bumpers at the same time, it would kind of highlight where enemies are and potentially where weak points could be. Say they're heavily armored or behind a riot shield, for instance. So I'd say that's a pretty useful mechanic. So there's also there's also an ability that the hacker has where you can actually stun enemies temporarily, which is pretty darn cool. And the Y button, you can direct commands to your teammates. Again, much like Mass Effect. So the Mass Effect vibes are so strong in both theme and gameplay. Like the developers clearly knew what they were doing with the Mass Effect like gameplay and inspiration. I mean, how could you not? Like, Mass Effect is one of the best, gaming trilogies ever, so they definitely did their homework very darn well. Now, the weapons for the hacker ability, you start out with some kind of assault rifle and a magnum. Other weapon classes that are in this beta, I'm sure there's probably more in the final game. So, for instance, you got the typical favorites, like in Mass Effect, you got assault rifle, pistol, shotgun, sniper rifle. I don't think there was a heavy weapon in the beta. I would have to play through the beta again to double check. But I believe I'm not wrong in that there wasn't a heavy weapon in the beta, but I could be totally wrong. I'm assuming that's gonna be like in the final game. I mean, again, much like Mass Effect, all of them were. Even Andromeda had something like that. So I assume that's gonna be a thing. You could actually just pick up stuff off of dead bodies, like credits or materials that you could use to upgrade abilities. Speaking of which, that is actually a thing. As you can see here, this is where you find workbenches throughout the game. where you can actually find workbench to upgrade your ability, upgrade your weapons, equipment. You get the whole idea, right? So again, it's a beta. You're not gonna get very much, but you can also upgrade gadgets too, not just weapons. You can also like customize your armor as well, which is really darn cool, and also abilities as well, because that comes with like helmet gadgets, some among other things. So it's really darn cool. I really like that. So again, just customization, man. Like it's really cool. I'm so down for that. So, so yeah, I mean, I'm really optimistic about it so far. That's really it for the earthly hacker ability build. So I mean, I have generally no issues about it. So I'd say it's really cool, darn cool. I'm so down for it. So I can see myself doing a hacker build in the final game. I can easily see myself doing that, like very much so. I easily can see that. So, how do I feel about the zero gravity sections of the game? It's really darn cool. Now, this gameplay is actually from the belter, build of the game, where I was running the soldier build for because I actually did that in my first run, because like soldier is typically what I would use if in the Mass Effect games. That's typically what I ran with. So I think I also did like Sentinel, some other stuff in the Mass Effect games, because I played so much of the Mass Effect trilogy. I probably done countless playthroughs in the trilogy, and most of the time I did Soldier or Adapt or stuff like that. Especially if it contained like the biotic stuff. Obviously, that's probably not gonna be a thing here in the Expanse Osiris Reborn, because this is more of a hard sci-fi compared to the stuff that Mass Effect ran with, because that's completely different. So, but yeah, what's really cool about the Zero G in this game, like where you can actually, it's not just straight up ground. It would have kind of allows you to sort of among walls that are like tilted that make ground and all that. So it's really darn cool. It's really neat. Like, because once you see in the background, you can actually, there'll be actually like where you're supposed to go once you take out the enemies, that are in front of you right now, such as that sniper over there. And it's really cool that the dead bodies will actually float in midair too. So that's really darn cool. I love that. That just kind of adds like immersive to it. So it's really darn cool. And so, like, yeah, your running is technically slower, you feel more heavy, but again, that makes sense because it's zero gravity. But your body weight is essentially lighter, so it's really darn cool. I really like that. So, I mean, that's really all. That's really everything that there is to say about the gameplay. So, let me give my how do I feel about the beta over about Expanse so far? I mean, it has strong potential to be a potential game of the year, or at least RPG of the year, if they nail everything in the full game. One thing I did not touch on right now, which I'll get into right now, which is performance. I gotta say, like, the performance so far is really smooth and solid. I mean, I'm obviously running the game on my gaming computer, which has an RTX 4080 and a 7800X 3D with 32 gigabytes of RAM. And outside of a few like stutters, like maybe in a few areas, which stutter only for like a few seconds, I generally had a really smooth experience. So if they can, kind of remove, it's seemingly to be, I don't know what it's from. My guess is from like transitioning from area to area, if I had to guess. But even then, that wasn't very often. So I mean, I'd say that's a very good sign for performance so far. Because once a game is fully done, because optimization is typically like the last thing they do in game development. If it's like this smooth out of the gate, that's a very good sign for how the final game is going to be, especially for the PC version of the game. So that's a really good sign in my opinion. So I mean, that's really everything I think I can say about it, other than, yeah, like, I really like what I've played so far. I'm very much looking forward to the full game when it comes out in the spring of next year. I can't wait. So that's all I got to say on this one. If you guys have played the beta, what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comment section below, and I'll see you on the next one. Till then, have a good one.